What's up, guys? Welcome to the Put Me In Coach podcast,
where we go beyond the headlines and deep dive everything NFL.
I'm Ian.
And I'm Andy.
Please remember to like, comment, and subscribe. Thank you so much. Here we go.
Happening? Yes, sir. Week 3.
Week 3. We're diving in.
Week 3, baby.
Put Me In Coach podcast is here to whiff tremendously on more game picks.
Love it.
Yeah, man.
I'll go down with the ship, though. I'll go down with the ship. I feel like last week, the difference is this week I actually looked. Well, but I looked at I actually went through and I looked at the favorites. I looked at the under. I think we just took all favorites off of gut feeling last week. Like, I didn't look at any lines. I know you didn't look at any lines. Not for real. You know what I mean? Like, we were all just like, oh, the Lions are going to beat the Bucs. It's duh. It's like, you know, we didn't really do any like critical thinking when it came to these games. We just were going off of vibes. Yeah. So I tried my best to kind of do a little bit more, like I put some thought into every game rather than just like spitballing off the top of my head. So that's kind of where I'm at with it. What says you? What are you feeling this week?
Yeah, I want to make it a little spicier, man. I think part of the problem with doing these early season picks is like we're still going off of just kind of our gut feeling of like who we think's the better team.
100%.
So we're gonna keep it a little more funky today because honestly, like last week was such a mosh posh of like teams just winning games they weren't supposed to or losing games they were supposed to win. That like for me, I'm just like no more like backdooring it. Like the backdoor is my pick now. If I have a feeling okay, there's a world like because we kept doing that last week, right? It was like, well, the Bucs could win this game, and it's like, well, bro, they did win this game. Like, so let's just pick the Bucs.
They came out and punched Detroit in the mouth, just like I said they would, and then you know, but I wouldn't commit to the pick, right?
Yeah. So just make let's make the goddamn picks. You know what I mean? So
that's what I did. That's what I did. Yeah. We got some surprising ones on here, on my end at least. So let's jump into Thursday night. We're recording this. It's Wednesday, 9 p.m. You know, my time, Michigan time. So yeah, we got Jets Patriots tomorrow night, which is kind of a snoozy, kind of boring game on paper as from what we've seen out of these two teams right now. But I could see like a very kind of intense, narrow game. I still think it'll kind of be boring. I don't think we're gonna see some like crazy, you know, high scoring. You know, Thursday night you're constantly dealing with like unders, right? Like that's like historically it's very low scoring, unless you're Miami getting blitzkrieged last week. But you know, hey, what do we know? We listen.
Miami sucks.
Miami sucks. I hate Miami.
Dude,
get out of here.
We had some guy coming out. I don't know what his name is. Let's not do names, but yeah, he came in there.
I don't care what his name is.
Crazy, man. He was talking so crazy. Like he was like, oh, we went up against the Bills. It's like, bro, shut up. You guys are supposed to be a top 5 offense. Like, I don't care that the Bills have a good defense.
They weren't even.
I saw Arizona move the ball all over them.
Thank you.
Get out of here. Yeah. Anyway, let's not get into that now.
No, it's just, I'm with you though.
Other AFC
Jets
East
Patriots.
teams.
I'm gonna go Jets. I think that honestly I just don't really like the Patriots like D line, and I feel like Brees is gonna just eat tomorrow night. Like that's just kind of that's what my gut is telling me. Like Brees and Braylon are just gonna do whatever they want. Gonna be like a mostly a run game type game. You'll have a few moments with Aaron and Garrett Wilson and Aaron and Allen Lazard because he's always got to get his little sweet thing in there somehow. But that's just kind of how I feel. Kind of a boring, hard-nosed football. You know, like just kind of we're gonna run the ball. They're in New York for the first time since we saw Aaron run out there on 9/11 last year with the flag. So it'll be hopefully a cool atmosphere. It won't ever be as cool as that atmosphere was, but you know, let's just not relive what happened at that night. That's all we ask for, I think, is. Yeah,
you're hoping for a good game. I think for me, you know what it is? I struggle with acceptance in life. I live in a reality where I want the world to look the way it should versus accepting the way it does. And I think last week what I really wanted out of New York was a statement win in Nashville, and they didn't do it. So I'm not predicting a statement win in this game. I'm predicting
I don't think so.
The Jets to look like shit, but I do think they will win. Because you touched on it, right? Like I do think up front especially, I think that New England is just weak. And you know what was crazy too? Like man, Judon looked good up in Philly on Monday, man, for Atlanta.
Right.
He did. And I think this team is just missing. I think this.
They're missing that.
They're missing
really
kind of everything.
Secondary.
Yeah. They're missing really a dynamic quarterback, dynamic receiver. They're missing a true offensive line. But I think it's going to be closer than people think, and I think they're going to muck it up. I mean, we've seen New England look better than they were supposed to 2 weeks in a row now, and the Jets look worse than they were supposed to 2 weeks in a row.
Yeah, I think on the opposite side, I do think Ramondre is going to eat kind of as well. You know what I mean?
Defense isn't that good yet.
Yeah, they're just not, and you lost Jermaine Johnson on the edge. I think you lost one of the linebackers, C.J. Mosley. I want to say got injured or something. So
yep, he left the game.
It's gonna be interesting to see. Again, I think it'll be like a narrow, like kind of boring 17-13 type game. But I do think the Jets will win.
Mm-hmm. Yep,
100%. Let's move on to the next one. We got Browns Giants in Cleveland. What do you think of this game? Yeah, right.
What do I think? I think that's going to live. I think that's going to live in the box on the left, on the bottom left for that entire afternoon. Is what I think. Actually, we're going to be at a game.
In the box. Yeah. We can't really watch the games. It'll be interesting having to.
Well, we'll be able to kind of.
We'll have to vlog next week so we can give content without having to talk about it.
We will. We'll do something for the game, but in a shocking turn of events, I'm actually picking New York to win. I thought they looked better for the entirety, essentially, of that Commanders game. No, they're not a very good team, but I thought Jacksonville beat themselves last Sunday. I thought Cleveland looked like shit on third down. They didn't look good offensively. I thought their defensive front looked really good against Jacksonville, and that could be the difference in this game. Maybe that's what gives Cleveland the win close, but I don't know, man. Like, New York should have won that game last weekend, and they didn't, and it sucks, but I think they pull it off. I think they pull off a close win. I really like what I'm seeing out of Neighbors. I think he's going to help Daniel Jones feel more comfortable. I think Daniel Jones feels uncomfortable. I think the fans have turned on him. I don't think his coach loves him. And I think that, man, he sucks ass. So he's internalized. It's like the Bryce Young thing. I think his confidence is down. But I know there's good football in there. And so it's just like, just feed Malik and just do it. Just do it. Just become one-dimensional and just do it. And win a game. Win a game. Just go win a game. Stop pretending. Dayball, you're a fraud. I'm sorry. Like, you're not up there in that class. It is what it is. Daniel Jones is not an elite quarterback. Like, be one-dimensional and try to win this game. And their defense is good enough, I think, to hold up if they can score 20.
That's kind of how I feel, because I mean that's also my pick is the Giants. Which is like unsexy for the show just because we're both picking the same one, but it is what it is. That's just what my gut says. I think just like you said, I think the Giants. I mean, Deshaun Watson isn't a playmaker anymore, so all they can really do is run the ball, and then he can like dink and dunk it. Which the front seven for the Giants is pretty good. So I can see a world where they really. Especially you got Dexter Lawrence up front, man. That's like he's like one of one, right? Like really, he's like one of three in the league who can do what he does, and I think he can really rattle Deshaun Watson early if he can get to him early, and they can just make his life kind of hell for the day. And I see a lot of inaccurate scrambling happening on his end, and I again it'll be kind of I don't see a world where it's like 32-28, but I do see a world where it's like 21-17 Giants, right? Like nothing. Yeah. Kind of a boring, low scoring, not sexy game that, features.
There's no threat downfield for Cleveland either. Like Deshaun's inaccurate, and that's the secondary is what I worry about in New York.
100%.
Especially after letting Xavier McKinney walk. You saw he got another pick in week 2 against Indianapolis over in Green Bay.
Insanity.
It's like, stupid, but the thing is like I was watching the Jacksonville game that they played last week, and he misses throws all the time, but he had this one really great throw that was downfield, and it was right to Amari Cooper, like right in his hands, and Amari just like fully dropped it. And it's like, okay, like what are they really going to do offensively? Like even against this, even if New York's defense, and I just feel like Kavion's due for a game. I feel like Burns is due for a game. It's like the O-line injuries in Cleveland.
Those guys have been super quiet.
I'm out on those boys, and I'm out on the Giants too, but like,
yeah,
screw it, we ball.
No, 100%, 100%.
Yeah.
Let's move over to Bucks Broncos. I'm not gonna overthink this. Buccaneers, man, they're playing good football right now. That Todd Bowles defense looks really good. I mean, they got punched in the face by every statistical category last week by Detroit and still came up with a win. You know, held a very dynamic offense to 16 points, and they were locked in, and I like them to stay locked in. I think Baker's playing really good football right now. He's really fun to watch. You know, you might as well call this a Baker Mayfield fan club show, because both you and I have always been on the Baker train, and we never gave up on him. Not when he was in Cleveland, not when he was in Carolina. We saw he went to the Rams for that half season. We both said this is what's going to happen, and then he went over to Tampa, and we both said that this was a great signing for them. And they've started the year off just, you know, punching teams in the face, and it's cool to see. You know, granted, one of those was the Commanders, but I mean, going into Detroit, we know that environment. It's hostile, it's loud, and they came away with a nasty, gritty win. And I think playing I think Todd Bowles is really going to have a field day with Bo Nix. I think I think Sean Payton needs to dumb down this system for Bo Nix. He seems very confused and very in over his head, and it's like, bro, he's a rookie. You gotta, you're not playing with
who, Bo or his coach?
His coach, or I'm sorry, Bo. Bo looks in over his head. But yeah, his coach
which one
too.
is it? Which one's in over his head?
No, that's real. That's
hard.
real.
Yeah.
It's
no, you're totally right. You're totally right. And let's just stop. Like, we talked about this preseason, and there's so much football left. This isn't me being like, oh, I'm taking victory laps. We're 2 games in. But I did say, leave the door open with this Atlanta stuff to be totally wrong. And, Tampa is just a better team than Atlanta. And, so far, to me, they look better. And, I'm with you on the Commanders stuff, sure. But again, you just mentioned it, they went into Detroit. They won a playoff game last year against Philadelphia.
Yes, fully.
They came into Detroit in the second playoff game, and they almost, fully came back and won that game. They just, Baker played hero ball at the end. They lost, fine. But, I mean, what are we really talking about here with this game, in the sense that, we talked about this so much preseason with Broncos, and it was another one where people came in and they were like, don't sleep, and then the preseason happened and people were like, see, this team's got juice, and it's like, bro, it's just gonna take some time. I'm not out on Bo Nix. It's been 2 games, but he looks like dog shit so far, and they have nothing offensively that excites me. Javonte Williams is not the player he used to be before the injuries. I can say that confidently now after 2 weeks, right? What is the juice? They're not really using Mims. That's probably their most exciting offensive player, so he's not really on the field.
Is Courtland Sutton on the field?
He's a downfield target for a quarterback who doesn't throw the ball downfield.
No, it's crazy.
I just don't. I think Sean Payton is the smartest man in the room in his own mind. And it's I'm just watching this now going, where is the win coming with you guys? This defense isn't dominant, so it's not even a Pittsburgh thing where I watch and I go, ugh, well, they won. I mean, it's nothing. It's just, there's nothing to hold your head on, right? What's that, the old Willy Wonka thing? You lose. You win. You have nothing. You lose.
You get nothing.
Yeah, you guys don't.
Lose.
There's nothing. There's no Malik Neighbors in New York. There's nothing like that on this team where you go, well, they got this. There's no.
I'm with you fully.
I'm out on them
until
further notice.
No, I'm with you. I'm with you 100%.
The Bucs are a real team.
Bucs are a real team, 100%.
Yeah.
Let's scoot over to Colts Bears. For me personally, boy, ain't you saying it? As much as I want to just keep pounding this abysmal Chicago team, like we said from Jump Street, it was not going to be good. Your ceiling was 7 wins. That might be reaching, but I do think that this is going to be the week where it all clicks a little bit for Caleb and company. I don't like, and really it's Anthony Richardson is a roller coaster of a player. I just don't know what I'm getting from him week to week. Chicago's defense is very real. I do really like their defense. I mean, I've watched both of their games. I think every snap of both of their games thus far, and that's a good defense. I think with all the injuries that are going on the Colts front seven, I think that the very bad offensive line that is the Bears will be able to, keep Caleb upright just enough to get some stuff off. And I think they win. I think they win, narrowly. I don't think it'll be some blowout, but I do like the Bears in this game.
Yeah. Oh man, this game sucks. This game sucks to pick. It's like the battle of the erratic quarterbacks.
Yes, it is.
I guess the reason why I would take, first of all, you're right. The matchup thing is very real, and this is a bad matchup for Indianapolis because they're an offensive football team playing a good defense, and the Bears are a bad offense going up against a get-right defense. I mean, this is going to be, until further notice, this is going to be one of those that you circle and you're like, we could play in the Colts. This is a get-right game for our offense, right? Like, and that's the bummer of having this team, and it's something that we talked about preseason of being like, I just can't put my faith in this team to win anything real. But I think I am going to go Colts here just for the fact that, like, I've seen Anthony Richardson play a really good dynamic game of football multiple times, and I have never seen Caleb do it. I think what I've seen the first 2 weeks from Chicago gives me no hope. I told you guys Waldron was a bad hire. I told you guys Caleb wasn't going to be all that in a big bag of chips coming out. There's tons of football left, tons of time for me to get this wrong. But give me the Colts. I think Shane Steichen can game plan a decent defense. I don't know that it's going to be pretty, but I'll take the Colts. I'm fine doing that.
Fair enough.
Yeah.
Fair enough. I'm not mad at that at all. Let's swing on over to Packers versus Titans. What do you think?
Is Jordan Love playing? Because he was at practice.
I believe Malik Willis is going to be starting this game.
Man. Well, what's really interesting about what Green Bay did last week, and it's what I talked about last, when I kind of backdoored the pick, and I was like, well, maybe. I have a ton of respect for what Matt LaFleur does, dude. Again, I've been beating this drum all offseason. He's in that group as an offensive coach. Yeah. He designed a game plan where they threw the ball 12 times, and they completely controlled the game on the ground. Jaden Reed runs it. Jacobs runs it. Malik Willis runs it. It looked like a college offense, right? Like one of those like right. Army games. Remember like Army Navy where they would just run like wishbone stuff and you'd be like, what is this? That's how it looked. And I think because of that, like it's fresh in our minds. Like, okay, well, we've seen this. Malik Willis has gone up against these Titans defenders. I do think it's kind of a new look defense this year with some of the additions they made. I think it's a better defense in Tennessee. I should pick Green Bay, but I'll be honest, bro. I've watched Tennessee both weeks, like start to finish, and they have looked like the better team for good stretches of both of those games. Yep. And they just haven't been able to finish. I would hate to be in that quarterback room this week as they've been going over the film of what Levis did in some of those big moments against New York. But I think Tennessee can pull this off. I think they can actually win this game, and I'm fine picking them in this one. I think they can do it. Yeah. I think they'll do it.
Well, and that's what I also took Tennessee to win this game, and primarily because as much as I respect the game plan last week, like you just said, Colts are kind of a get-right defense, and that's who they ran the ball all over. You're not going to run the ball all over the Titans like that. They're too good defensively. You got Jeffrey Simmons up front. You have Ernest Jones in the middle, and then you got L'Jarius Sneed in the back. That just by those three alone, you know what I mean? Like you're very talented, and I think this defense has been really good the first 2 weeks. I don't see that changing this week, especially if Malik Willis ends up being your starter. I think the Josh Jacobs running, what was it?
I think it was 175.
48 attempts. It was 235 yards on 48 attempts.
Yeah. I mean, that's never happening again.
No. Unless that was the season total, which would make sense.
That's season total. That's got
to be right. Yeah. Okay.
Yes, but he ran. I think he ran for $175 last week. I mean, it was absurd. I mean, he ran so much.
Ridiculous.
But I'm with
you. Ridiculous.
Yeah, I'm with you. I don't. That's not going to happen 2 weeks in a row. You know what I mean?
Not in my eyes.
Yeah.
So yeah, Titans. Let's.
Devondre Sweat looked really good too.
Yes, facts. He looked very good.
Think that's making a big difference up front. In Tennessee.
100%.
Yeah.
Saints Eagles. This is a
Love
tough
it.
game for me.
It's a
This
fun
is like I'm kind of bummed we're not going to be able to watch this game.
Yep, me too.
But it is what it is. We're going to be watching a game up close. I'm going to go with the Saints. I'm not going to overthink it. I like what I've seen from them the last 2 weeks. They look like the most dynamic offense in the NFL by a mile. I kind of hate what I've seen out of Philly's defense, which again, not to run a premature victory lap, but I kind of told you guys that the defense was mid. You guys all told me, oh my gosh, this D-line is top 4. Nah, Jalen Carter looks checked out, and Jordan Davis might be a bust fully. Like, he doesn't look like he cares even kind of, which was my concern with him at
About that
preseason.
Gardner Johnson pickup.
Yeah, Gardner Johnson and talk. That's
Good
all
job,
he does.
boys. Good job.
Talks,
Here you
and
go.
then he gets cooked
Sucks.
on that final drive. You know what I mean?
Yeah, he got cooked a couple times in that game.
Darnell
We'll
Mooney
get into
cooked you? Fuck
Yeah.
out of here.
Oh, all day long. But Darnell Mooney cooked him. I mean, it was.
Yeah.
But go ahead.
I mean, that's kind of it. I mean, I think the defense is sketchy in Philly. I think they're coming off a win or a loss that really should have been a win. Their coach fully played them down the stretch there, and then didn't address the team oddly. Just let Jalen Hurts take it. I don't know. There's no leadership there, which is what our whole thing was with Philly, was that I don't trust your coaches. I don't know. Kellen Moore looks so whatever to this point, as does Vic Fangio, and it's just I don't know. Clint Kubiak has those boys playing in New Orleans. You know what I mean? And Dennis Allen can just focus on his side of the ball now. And dude, Will Harris, who was a fourth stringer on the Lions last year, was the one who popped CD in the end zone to drop that touchdown. You know what I mean? Everybody's just playing smash mouth football, and frankly I love to see it. We were not shy about our being down on the Saints this year, but boy, I'm happy to be wrong in this regard, because I just feel like they're playing really fun football, and it's fun to watch.
Yeah, no, I'm with you. I'm taking the Eagles fully. And
Dude?
Yeah, I am. And it's nothing against what the Saints are doing. I watched the game on Monday night in its entirety, and it didn't look like great football, but I will say, big picture, the Sirianni stuff is a concern. He called a gopher on a fourth down in the red zone that was completely unnecessary and ultimately cost them the game. They didn't make it. Obviously, Atlanta got the ball back, and those are points given up. The defense really contained Atlanta for a large majority of that game, actually. Kirk had an amazing drive at the end, and honestly, it was great to see Atlanta do that at the end, because I feel like they've been asleep for 7 quarters of football so far through the season. So I was excited to see Atlanta get the win, and I was kind of pulling for them to get the win. But remember, Philadelphia didn't have A.J. Brown. I know they're not going to have him this week either, so that could bolster your argument. But to me, they should have run the ball on that conversion that Saquon dropped to kind of seal the game. But the throw was right in his hands, and Saquon Barkley's not dropping that 9 times out of 10, and that's ball game.
Fair.
And we're on here talking about the Eagles are 2-0. I'm with you, big picture. I think there are some concerns in Philly. I don't think it's an overreaction at all to say that it's weird as hell that this man did not address his team after a loss as the head coach. Some of the calls I saw in that game, the go for it's, the weird, it was getting into desperate territory, he doesn't know what he's doing. But I just saw, to me, I watched that game and I felt like Philly was the better football team that just didn't put it all together and win the game. So I'm fine taking Philadelphia this week. I think Philly pulls it off.
Sure. I love it. Yeah, I love it. I mean, it's, they're a confusing team. They could very easily be 0-2. They could very easily be 2-0. With just little things, right? Jordan Love doesn't get hurt. Does he pull off that win?
Yep.
It's worth asking, Another kind of boring on paper, but potentially very good game we got here in Pittsburgh. The Steelers versus the Chargers. Who are you feeling in this one?
Steelers.
I just cause.
No, I mean, I'll tell you why. I just the thing is, I know everyone's going to look at the offensive stuff. George Pickens had like 4 huge plays last week that got called back, and that score would have been completely different. It would have been a complete beatdown in Denver. They're able to run the ball. I think the Fields thing, albeit is not a home run, is working somewhat. Give it some time. Let this offense build. The defense is taking care of business, man. And I don't think that this Charger offense is as good as they've looked through 2 weeks. I'm definitely not against the Chargers. I think it's a good football team. And to me, this game could easily be a coin flip type of game where it's like, hey, just pick it. I understand why people are rushing to take the Chargers here. I just think at home, I just think that they're going to have the ability to run the ball. And Pittsburgh, that is. I think Justin Fields is going to do just enough. And I think this defense is going to be able to contain what's been, in my opinion, a slightly fraudulent offense through 2 weeks in Los Angeles. I just do. I'm sorry.
Sure.
Like, it's nothing against those guys. I know Dobbin. It's a fun story. We love Harbaugh. We're Harbaugh, big Harbaugh homies and all that stuff. But if I had to pick this game, which I have no interest in doing and would never gamble on in my entire life, no matter what you gave me to spend, I'm going Pittsburgh at home. I like the way they're playing right now. And they look like they heard the talk this offseason. They're coming out better. And that O-line looks a little bit better, too. Just a little bit. Not great, but better. So I'm going to go Pittsburgh.
Sure. That's what my gut tells me is Pittsburgh for pretty much every reason you just said. But, baby, my heart says Los Angeles, and I'm going with it.
Fire it up, man.
I'm not doubting Jim Harbaugh. I doubted Jim Harbaugh coming into this season. I'm like, this team might win 4 games. They're going to be terrible. He's got them boys playing with a bunch of nothing on his team. That O-line looks incredible. I mean, Joe Alt would be my pick for Rookie of the Year thus far.
He's looked amazing.
It's just they just look so good. It's like you could almost put whoever behind there, and they're just gonna get a bunch of yards on the ground. They're tough as nails. I again, like it feels like a shootout game, right? It feels like a game that's going to get forced into a shootout. But in that regard, I know their weapons kind of suck, but give me Justin Herbert over Justin Fields any day.
Sure.
You know what I mean? Like that's just
everybody would agree with you there.
You know what I mean? Like I'm just not going to overthink that regard of it. And I just I don't know. I love Jim Harbaugh and I love the Chargers, so I'm going Chargers, baby.
Yeah, I love it.
Texans Vikings. I got the Texans here. I'm not going to really overthink it too much either. I know the Vikings have been playing really good football, and they've looked tremendous, especially after beating the Niners last week. That's an incredible win. But I just, again, like, no, you didn't have Christian McCaffrey. Debo gets hurt. Kittle gets carted off towards the end. They not to say that that's an excuse. I mean, they beat the crap out of them, but those pieces matter to me. And the Texans, although the offense looked kind of lackluster against the Bears, that defense was really making Caleb's life hell. And I think that Darnold's life is going to be hell this weekend. And I just like CJ to kind of have I think he's been kind of lackluster through 2 weeks thus far. Hasn't really put together like a performance that shows that there's this top 5 leap that everybody's been talking about all offseason. And I feel like this might be a game where he just really slices and dices a very good Brian Flores scheme. What do you think?
It's an excellent Brian Flores scheme, but what's interesting about it is it really exists, if you look at it numbers wise, more last year, because that's all the data we have. And through 2 weeks, we have kind of mixed results in terms of like what we're really looking at. It's too early to say like data, right? But typically what happened last year with the Brian Flores scheme is that it really feasts against lesser quarterbacks, but it struggles when quarterbacks are really good. I think personnel-wise, offensively with Texans, it's a mismatch, bro. Like, I just don't think they have the personnel defensively in Minnesota to like really stop these guys. I'd like to see how Mixon's health is going into this game, because I do think they're going to have to run the ball a little bit. Minnesota's at home, which I like. I guess for me, it's the same thing that you said, man. I just think Houston's a real team right now. And I think for me, the difference is the defense. I love what I saw defensively. And I told you that this defense was going to be really good. I told you, bro. And everyone talked offense. There's nothing wrong with that. It's a fun offense. But D'Amico's got them boys hitting. And that
yes, he does.
BS they call it, that illegal hit. Like, dude, pads were popping against the Bears last week.
Yeah.
And I like what I see. And I don't know that Minnesota is going to be able to overcome it. But boy, do I really like what I'm seeing out of Minnesota. Like this.
I love it.
Really good. So I'm not trying to shade them at all. Yeah.
No, not at all. Not at all.
Give
They're a
me
good
Texans.
team.
I'm with you.
Yeah. Raiders, Panthers. Do we think that the Red Rifle can come in and save this season against Max Crosby and Devonta Adams?
Can I put a red rifle in my mouth before this game starts?
You sure?
Instead of having to watch it?
You sure can't. You gotta pick one, baby.
There's two worlds here. I mean, there's the world where this is the right call by Dave Canales and benching Bryce is actually the right pick, and a once actually pretty underrated quarterback, and Andy Dalton comes in and like cooks a little bit, and this team's not trash. There's a world where that happens. I'm just not sure we live in that world. I think we live in the world where the Raiders are just a better football team. And it's just plain and simple. I think right now the Panthers are in. I just want to say this real quick, too, because I did want to do this in this episode. So this is when we're going to do it, obviously.
Sure.
I'm really, 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 really sorry, Panthers fans. Like, this has got to be really tough. And I mean that sincerely. Like, we're Lions fans. I've been through stretches where I've fully given up on my franchise for like years at a time.
Years. Yeah.
I think you're there now. I think it's officially rock bottom. I think we felt like last year was rock bottom, and him and I off season were like, let's give Bryce another year. We like the Canales hire. There's at least something that happened this off season with some of these pieces. We were wrong. This, as it stands right now, this is the worst team in the league, and it's not particularly close. I really like what I saw from the Raiders last week, not throwing in the towel after a week 1 loss where they looked like absolute ass. And going into Baltimore and beating what I think is a bit of a fraudulent, however, very, very good Baltimore Ravens team. I think the Raiders are going to win pretty soundly here, and I think it could get a little ugly on the defensive side of the ball. And give me the Raiders.
I'm right there with you. Vegas is playing in Vegas for the first time, coming off a really fun win in Baltimore. Brock Bowers looks amazing already. You know what I mean? He looks, everything is advertised. Insane that you guys let him fall. We took Kyle Pitts at 4, but let Brock Bowers drop to 13. Make that make sense to me. I don't know. I don't get it. Still waiting on that breakout season from Pitts down there in Atlanta, though.
It's not coming this year, and I told you guys that too, by the way.
No. The problem that I have, just to play off of what you have, is I don't believe that Bryce Young doesn't know how to play football anymore.
I think it's a premature benching.
I do too, and I think he'll be better for it in the end of the day, because if they decide to move off of him and he can go to a situation that, I mean, it just seems like it's cancerous in Carolina. I mean, I know it's a lazy take, but it's worth saying. I mean, they had Sam Darnold and Baker Mayfield, and they both looked awful. They both look awful in Carolina. You know what I mean? And they
ownership.
100% ownership. I mean, 100% it's ownership.
Yes.
And I mean, you traded. I think the problem that I have with last week and what's going on with the Panthers right now is not even Bryce Young per se. It's, why would you trade capital that you don't really have to jump up to the end of the first round to get Xavier Legette, and then in your home opener you don't play him? It doesn't make any. He got 0 snaps, dude. He was full, and he looked like decent week 1. You know what I mean? Like, he looked okay.
Why didn't you trade Brian Burns for multiple picks, and including a first rounder when LA offered it years? I mean, this is the CMC. It doesn't make any sense, thing. You waited for the low ball from San Francisco. Well, you should have got a first round pick for that guy. He's the best player offensively in the league when he's healthy. This team is in a really bad way. And boy, I don't know if you saw our boy Canales' press conference, because he's one of my favorite young coaches right now going into this season. Don't he look like he aged about 10 years this offseason? Boy,
yeah, I think
man was looking like he hasn't slept.
Yeah, I think he's in over his head.
I
Personally,
do too.
I think,
and I don't think it's I don't think it's an indictment.
No,
on him.
I think if he was to go take a job with an ownership group that's good, it would be a different story. You know, had he taken the Seattle job or taken the, who else was out there? I don't know. Even the Commanders, honestly, like if he would have taken that job, I think that you're looking at a different guy right now. But I do truly believe that there's a cancerous entity at the top in Carolina, and it's a real shame.
They're cooked.
It feels very like it just feels like Detroit, like mid 2010s, right? Doesn't it? Like just like like God, you guys suck.
Yep.
GM sucks, quarterback sucks, everybody sucks. Like it's just not it at all. So my hope is that Bryce gets benched, and my hope is that they trade Bryce to like Sean McVay for a third, because I feel like that's just what's going to happen. Sean McVay is going to call and say, I have a 38-year-old quarterback. What do you say about a third-round pick for your old bench piece over there who you can't move forward with him? He's a bust, but I'll take him as my backup. And
Dolphins
then
should make a call.
Dolphins should make a call. Yeah, I mean, there's like 10 teams that should make a call. I don't believe that Bryce Young is the bust that we say he is. I mean, he's been bad, but there's just been moments where he's been good. And what was the offense last year? You know what I mean? Like, what was the offense really? Who was the weapons? Who was out there?
Nothing's really changed.
Nobody.
Nothing's changed.
That's what I mean.
It's a multitude of issues. Yes, Bryce has been ass. I mean, I watched that game. He was really bad, but you could tell
he's running for his life. Like
nobody
every minute,
knows what the hell they're doing. That's the problem.
It seems like everybody's out of sync. There's nobody there's no flow. There's nothing.
Yeah, it's just tough to watch, man, because there was a world where I felt like this team was at least exciting, and it's just not going to happen. So sometimes 100%. You just know, and I know I'm going with my gut. I think it's over. But yeah, hit me up. Who's the next guy? Who's the next two teams?
Seahawks, Dolphins. Speaking of a team that should call for Bryce. The Tua-less Dolphins.
Yeah. I'm going to take Seattle until further notice right now. I told you guys about Mike McDonald. I know that it's not exciting when a defensive head coach gets hired. This offense is going to take a minute, but you saw the passing game flowing pretty well. Jackson Smith and Jigba looked really good last week. DK Metcalf. We had a DK Metcalf spotting again. Unclear still. Touchdown. Yeah, man. DK looks dynamic. They're starting to get the vertical thing down the field. And Geno Smith, unlike a Bryce Young, unlike some of these younger quarterbacks, he's a veteran. He understands the game on a higher level because he's seen everything. Yeah. So he's able to take this new offense and it's going to happen faster than it would with a rookie or a sophomore, right? Like it's not going to take them until week 9 to get this offense rolling. And I think their defense is so far superior to anything that's going on in Miami right now. To me, it's Seattle very clearly. And we're living in a world now with these injuries in Los Angeles and San Francisco where now it's almost like we're talking about Seattle and Arizona as the teams to beat in the NFC West until further notice. And it's a weird place to be. Two teams we were very high on this offseason, but I didn't see this happening. And
no, I didn't either.
I think they're going to go up 3-0. I think the Tua stuff is looming, and I didn't love this Miami team anyway. So give me the Seahawks.
Yep, I'm with you. Yeah, I don't see a world where Skylar Thompson can overcome a Mike McDonald defense. I just don't. You know what I mean? Like they're just. I don't care what McDaniels cooks up offensively. I see it just kind of falling apart, and Tyreek might go to Twitter and talk, and it just feels like this team is set to implode here pretty quickly.
They ain't built for the mud.
Nah, they didn't call. And they all knew that they had to get out to this hot start. That's the whole thing with the Dolphins, right? Like you had Tua and Tyreek both say it. Like we have to get out. Like September's super important because we have to get out to a hot start, and here they are at 1-1, and they really should be 0-2. I mean, everybody knows that Jacksonville handed them that game, and it's a real shame that they did because I think that they're going to be 1-2 by the end of this weekend. I just do. I don't like it. I don't like what's going on there at all.
Yeah. Agreed.
Yeah. Rams Niners. What are you thinking of that one?
the battle of the hospital ball, the battle of the hospital bill.
Yeah.
I guess, does this game come down to who has less guys on IR, which I guess is San Francisco right now?
Yeah.
I don't know. I guess I would take Los Angeles because both teams have a good starting running back right now. I think Jordan Mason's real. I think he's a really good player. I think Kyron Williams is very good. So I think both these teams can still run it. The 49ers offensive line was not good to begin with. They're just a Trent Williams injury away from being one of the worst units in football. So the Rams having a bad O-line right now doesn't mean too much to me, although I think it's going to be tough with the front. Like Bosa and those boys might really muck this game up. It sucks, man, because you and I both were really high on the Rams, and I think it's over.
Love
There's
the Rams.
Too many injuries. Cup for a long time.
You saw...
Yeah.
Yeah, and you saw, it's particularly in that, the first half of that Detroit game, what their ceiling looked like, right? It was like
so good.
Stafford knew that he didn't have an O-line, and he knew that our D-line was good, and he was flinging that thing. I mean, it was short routes and just getting the ball out as quick as possible. And I mean, he looked like the best quarterback in the league week 1, and I'm not sure there was a close second from what we saw. Maybe Baker randomly, but Stafford was putting on a clinic in Detroit, and it felt like they got punched in the mouth early last week, and just Arizona just ran away with that game. There was nothing they could do.
I want to talk about one thing real quick before you
go ahead.
You go, because doesn't this game kind of come down to both teams are really banged up? Who do you trust more without their studs, Purdy or Stafford?
Yeah.
And my answer is Matt Stafford.
Yep.
And the other side of this, too, is you and I talked a lot about this offseason with the Brandon Ayuk stuff. Here's the thing. They gave him a lot of money. He got his way. These are the moments where you prove that you're a number 1 wide receiver in this league. Kittle... To me, Kittle is flirting really close with an injury. He got carted off that game last week. I assume he's playing this week. But again, it's like I told you guys, he's another bang-up candidate. No McCaffrey. Debo is their offense when McCaffrey's out. Now he's out.
Yep.
Let's see it, Papa. You want to get paid like CeeDee Lamb?
Yeah.
Go be CeeDee Lamb. You want to get paid
Purdy's
like Justin Jefferson?
Really bad.
Do
Purdy's
it.
really bad when Debo's not playing.
Yeah,
you know
man.
what I mean? Purdy's numbers go down significantly when Debo's off the field, and then.
But you understand what I'm saying, right?
Of course.
Ayuk's looked like dog water for 2 weeks, and it's now is the time with these guys banged up. It's like, all right, you yapped all off season. I'm a number 1. I should be this. All right, man. Well, Debo's not there. Kittle's banged up. McCaffrey's not there. Let's see it. Let's see the number 1 stuff. I got to see him ball the F out the next few weeks without those guys. And to me, I'll shut up forever.
Don't see that. Yeah, I don't know if I see a Sean McVay led team starting 0-3. That's what really stopped it for me. I think the right answer here is the Niners, just because their defense is fairly healthy and they're good. But man, it's just a weird world seeing a McVay team start 0-3 with Stafford healthy, right? Nobody else is. That's the caveat. But yeah, I'm with you. I'm taking the Rams too. Our game of the week, the Detroit Football Lions versus the Arizona Cardinals.
We're gonna be there.
We are gonna be there in the flesh.
Can't wait.
What are you thinking?
You're gonna hate me. I'm taking Arizona, bro.
Fair enough.
I'm sorry. I am. And it's not a reaction to last week. It's a reaction to last week in one sense, but it's not a reaction to our team losing. I thought we could have won that game, and we won our first game. I think the Lions are going to be just fine. This is not an indictment on big picture stuff. Arizona's really healthy, really dynamic, and Kyler looks like we said he would. Mm-hmm. And I just think that this team is more talented offensively than we are defensively. I don't really have the faith that Lion Nation does in Aaron Glenn. The way James Conner's running the ball, I know our defense does not give up stuff to the run, and I love that Reader's coming back. That's really exciting. I don't think James Conner's going to have a big day, but I think he's going to be able to run just enough to open up the pass, and I don't think we can defend this team in the pass. I think they're going to cook on us. The good news is Arizona's defense is pretty mid, so we should be able to run the hell out of the ball, and hopefully we do after what happened last week. Abandoning the run was the reason we lost that game. Flat out. I just think the Lions need a minute. I think we need to be patient with this team. I think we saw what happened last year, and we assumed that they would come out this year with their hair on fire. It hasn't happened. Amon-Ra's a little banged up. I just don't like going into the desert right now. It feels like a game that's a trap, and I hate to do it because these are my boys, but I think I'm learning from last week when I have a gut feeling to just say it, even if it's my team. I'm going with the Cardinals, bro. I hate it. That's my pick.
Yeah, no, I mean, you're not wrong. I kind of debated it back and forth, like, because I also have that feeling, but I also, I guess what I come to is that I think Kyler's going to get what he wants between the 20s. I don't think he's going to get what he wants in the red zone. We've proven to be a pretty good red zone defense. I think they'll end up having to like kick a lot. It'll be like a lot of field goals. But again, I think Ben Johnson and Jared Goff are feeling a little, and Dan Campbell for that matter, are feeling a little icky after last week. Cause really it was defensively, we were pretty good. It was offensively where we really were gross. And, I think there's going to be a lot of running. We're going to see a lot of Monty and Gibbs. We're going to see a lot of Laporta. And it much like the Colts, I think this is also a get right defense.
They're kind of
they're just not good. They're just not good. I don't see their line getting much pressure on our line at all. So I think Goff's gonna have a lot of time to get what he wants. And I think we're gonna open up the playbook to like I said, Gibbs, Laporta, and Monty. And then you still have Amon-Ra and J-Mo out there somewhere. So, there are a lot of mouths to feed. I think Detroit wins this game. But not without giving us a heart attack. You know what I mean? Like it'll be, I think it'll come down to the wire. And again, like I said, I think Kyler will get whatever he wants between the 20s. It's just going to be that when the field shortens and they're in the red zone, that's where I feel like the Lions really thrive defensively. They're not easy, and I don't see a world where James Conner does anything honestly on Sunday. Our run defense is just too good. It's so
fantastic.
Good.
It's fantastic.
It's just so
and I'm with you. I think it's the right pick.
Hutch coming off of the game. I feel, dude. I muddled it myself. I called you. I was like, there's a world where we start 1-4, and I'm annoyed about it.
Yeah.
That we got to see Seattle next week, and we're notoriously bad against them. So.
Yep.
I hope for the sake of us traveling all the way to Arizona, particularly me, it's not super far for you, but for me, it's across the entire country. So I would really hope that we show up for me, right?
Yep. Love it.
Show up for me, please. Moving over to what I feel like might actually be the most interesting game of this weekend, and it absolutely sickens me that we cannot watch it, much like Saints-Eagles. This is a really big bummer that we're not going to be able to catch this game. Ravens-Cowboys. Who do you have in this game?
The Cowboys.
Yeah, let's fucking go. I love it. I love it. That's what I have too.
Similar. Yeah, look, man, similar to what you said about the McVay stuff. It's really hard to imagine a John Harbaugh, Lamar Jackson Ravens team starting 0-3.
Dude,
I don't like what I'm seeing from this team at all. Don't like it. I think this team looks flat. I think I said this all fucking off season, dude. Last year was the year. You were the best team in football.
Crazy.
Lamar won the MVP. Your defense was dominant. You lost your DC. Your O-line cooked. Derrick Henry, not explosive, not dynamic.
Cooked.
Lamar Jackson, not elite at the quarterback position. Elite as a weapon. Elite dynamic. best athlete we've ever seen play. He cannot overcome a bad offensive line and a bad running game. He's never, ever, ever put a wide receiver in the top 25. You can say whatever you want. Zay Flowers is not enough. Mark Andrews has lost a step. Isaiah Likely, very good. Can't overcome this. I think this team is going to be a wild card team this year. I think they are going to figure it out. I'm not selling everything on the Ravens. I don't think they're going into Jerry World this weekend and winning. I think Dallas will put it together. That was a really ugly game they just played. And I think that Dallas is going to come out and figure it out. We have not seen Dak Prescott play a great game of football for 2 games. I think that changes this week. I just do. I think he's going to play really well, and I think Dallas wins.
Sorry, I got to let the boss upstairs know that the dog needs to go out. I'm with you fully. I'm with you fully. I love the Cowboys in this spot. I told you, much like you said about last year, I have been banging this drum for 5 months now. When did we do April? We've been doing this for 4 months. Yeah. 4 months. 4 months now. I've been telling you guys, I am severely concerned about this offensive line moving forward. And you guys all jumped in our comments and said, no, we're fine. We don't need Kevin Zeitzler. We don't need Simpson. We don't need the other dude who went to New York. We don't need any of these guys. Moses, right? Yeah. We don't need any of these guys. We're gonna be fine. We got Ben Cleveland and Roger Rosengard.
Bums.
Who are those guys?
They're bums.
Oh, they're 7th round picks and their 5th round picks. It's the kid out of Washington, the 2nd round pick. He does look okay, but man, the rest of the line looks really rough. And this is what I've been telling you. I told you that this was sketchy and you should have never done this, and you guys all told me I was stupid. And then you went and invested. Your big off-season move was a 31-year-old running back. I don't know. I don't know. It's just how I feel. I think Micah Parsons and company are going to feast on that line this weekend, and Lamar's going to get his. He always does. He's like that, but I like the Cowboys to click, put together a show for Jerry World and Dak to prove that he's worth $66 million a year or whatever the fuck he got.
I think he's gonna. I saw him play MVP football last year, and I'll be honest, as a QB, again, Lamar's top 3 in the NFL. Like, for me, he's right there behind Josh Allen because of what he can do, and he's a very good quarterback. I'm not doing that game. I just like Dak more as a quarterback. I think Dak has shown me that he can drop back 45 times if he has to and pick you apart. And Lamar
I don't
cannot.
think it's really a Lamar issue.
It's not, but I'm saying Lamar would have to be able to overcome this the way Stafford has with the quick passing, the sort of running this one-dimensional thing. I think if this team's not blocking well and running well, I just don't know that Lamar can front run the way that he does. It's just not, he's not that kind of QB, and it's not an indictment. It just is what it is. It's like that one little limitation in his game is like, I don't think he's going to be able to come behind and pick this team apart 48 times, but we'll see. Next game up, what do you got?
Chiefs Falcons.
Good matchup. We'll be able to get that one.
Matchup.
It's the good news.
Yeah, we will.
I guess.
That will be the one we catch.
You want to go first or should I?
I'll go first. I got the Chiefs. End of statement. I don't
yeah,
know.
that's all right.
I just like the Chiefs until proven otherwise. I gotta see the Chiefs really go down. I mean, they played a really good game last week. Actually, they themselves played kind of a bad game and still came out with the win. But that's what championship teams do. That's what three-peat teams do. I mean, they played a really fun game against Baltimore week 1. Looked like the better team for a majority of that game, and then looked like the worst team for the majority of the game last week. And I think it'll be kind of a bit of a. I could see a Mahomes clinic. He's been kind of whatever thus far. I could see him really locking in and having one of those games that he does. You know what I mean?
That'd be awesome. I would love to see that.
Especially with Pacheco out, there's not really you brought in Kareem Hunt, but it'll take him a few weeks to get acclimated. Carson Steele or whatever that dude's name is.
Yeah.
I mean, he's nobody.
Samaje Perine has had years to show us that he's that dude. He's not.
100%.
Yeah.
So I feel like we're in for a Mahomes masterclass on Sunday night. But that's just me. What do you got?
I don't.
Ooh, Falcons?
I don't. I saw AJ Terrell and Jesse Bates play some of the best football I have seen a defensive backfield play in a long time. I want to give you a scenario here, and especially it's important for context. I think if this game is in Arrowhead, by the way, full disclosure, I'm picking the Falcons in this. I'm going nuts. Yeah. Full disclosure, if this game's in Arrowhead, I'm not picking the Falcons. Sure. I don't love what I've seen from Atlanta so far, but that final drive in that game in Philadelphia, prime time, where Kirk Cousins has been hot dookie butt.
Hot ass, yeah.
That was one of the that was probably the best drive I've seen all year, to be honest.
Yeah.
Just
easily.
Money drive.
Yep,
and
easily.
Bijan looks every bit as promised so far. I know he hasn't had the touchdowns and the huge explosive runs. He's running that thing at what feels like 8 or 9 yards a pop. And he's never getting tackled on the first hit. I want to give you my thoughts on Kansas City so far. Number one, it's now been since the year 2022, it feels like, that we've seen this offense look really explosive. I know they had a couple of big plays in the Baltimore game. I thought the refs did a little home cooking at the end of that Cincinnati game, and they thought they should have lost that game. I thought Mahomes looked sloppy. I thought he turned the ball over. That bullshit pass interference at the end of the game saved them. I thought that interception getting called back was malarkey. I'm wondering, after 2 weeks, I've seen a run-centric Isaiah Pacheco team, primarily. You know, we've seen flashes of Xavier Worthy. It's been really fun. Rashee Rice looks like a real number one. Travis Kelce, I guess, is still on the team, I'm told.
Yeah.
Your statement about this being a get-right Mahomes dynamic vintage game has to be true, in my opinion, for this team to win. And big picture, I have zero concerns about the Chiefs. I think they're the best team in football. They're 2-0. None of this matters big term. I'm talking just on this Sunday night.
Yeah.
I like the Falcons, man. I think this defensive backfield is great. I think the addition of Judon was really sneaky. I don't think this team offensively is a world beater, but I don't feel like the Kansas City Chiefs are either offensively. And if you're telling me right now that they are so far, you're not watching the games. They looked like shit against Cincinnati offensively.
Yeah,
and
they did.
I'm waiting for the old Mahomes to come back. I believe. Yep. I think Mahomes is the best. But I haven't seen it in a while. And if this team's going to dink and dunk and run the ball 100 times, well, they just lost their running back for probably the season, at least most of it. I don't know, man. It feels like a trap game. I like the Falcons at home.
Boy, that's bold, but I like it. I like it because I'm kind of going bold here with the Bills Jags kind of.
Don't do it. Don't do it.
Yo, I'm doing it, baby. No. I'm doing it. I am taking.
I feel like we're gonna watch this back. It's gonna be the Interstellar where he's like, no, behind him.
No, totally.
I'm doing it. No.
This isn't an indictment on the Bills by any means at all. The only thing that's not working out in the Bills' favor is the fact that they're coming off of a long week, right? Like sometimes they played Thursday night, they have a bit of a longer break, and then sometimes you can catch those guys and punch them in the mouth a little bit. It's the Monday night game too, it's the Monday night game. So you're going from a Thursday to a Monday. There's just I've seen it before where these really good teams have a bit of a break and they get punched in the mouth. And this I don't mean this, like I said this last week and it was kind of like tongue in cheek, but at this point it truly is a must-win game for Jacksonville. And Jacksonville should be 2-0 right now, but can't get out of their own fucking way. They can't get out of their own way, and you need to This,
they look like
division's
morons.
Gonna be gone.
Like low IQ football.
No,
like,
it's absurd.
so
because
bad.
Press Taylor shouldn't be the OC. Stop calling plays. Doug Peterson needs to take it back. And that's my hope. My hope is that Doug Peterson does take it back, and they go out there and they win on Monday night because I love them. I love him. I love Trevor Lawrence, man. I just want to see it. I just want to see it. You know what I mean? I put so much stock into this kid, and not in any real way. I know what I watched at Clemson. I know what I watched the first year with Doug Peterson. I don't understand why it's got to be like these constant roller coasters with this team. Probably the same answer as we have with Carolina, right? Ownership. It's just like, what is going on here?
Yeah.
You just paid him a boatload of money, and you're starting off the year 0-2. That's a rough spot to be in. You have to come out there and be better, and you're going to be dueling against what I believed is the best quarterback in the NFL, and I think it's a prime time for him to nut up and really put on a clinic and go out there and shock the world and beat the Bills.
Boy, this is tricky because we really talked a lot about this AFC South coming into the year, and so far only one team has delivered. Let's be honest.
Fully.
I mean, let's be totally real here. You and I were very much excited to see what the Colts were going to do.
Sneaky.
Yeah. What the Titans were going to do, if they were going to look better. Now, the Titans have actually looked better, but they are 0-2. And this Jacksonville team has lost two, like you said, two very winnable games. I think it's over if you lose.
Fully.
And I'm going to do what you did. I'm going to totally copy your homework and write it in my own words here.
Perfect.
I think if Doug Peterson goes out here and this team loses and they start off 0-3, I think this whole era is over. I'm not sure that it shouldn't be over after what I've seen so far. But I'd like to believe that this team is good enough to put enough on this thing to win it. Maybe Buffalo front runs a little bit here because I think I think they are decisively the better football team.
100% they are.
And maybe Jacksonville figures it out on one game because they were so close in both of the last two games. But what I'm seeing so far is the worst coaching in football right now, period. I mean, the past 2 weeks have been so bad, and I'm with you. It feels like they came so close, they're due for one. So let's do it.
Yeah.
Save your season, guys.
Yeah.
Let's close it out with a really short and sweet one because we are getting a little long in the tooth here. Monday night is Bengals Commanders. This is the end of Cincinnati sucks, their season's over, and the beginning of is Cincinnati back, right?
Yeah. I think Cincinnati should be 2-0 right now. The NFL comes out and says that Mike Gesicki touchdown should have been called back. That would have given them the win against Patriots. Narrowly, but still the win. And then, like you touched on, that bogus ass PI call against the Chiefs and
nonsense. The interception getting overturned.
It's always funky with those. It's always funky with those two teams, and it always seems to go one way. I like the Cincinnati Bengals to come out and smoke the Commanders, and it'll be fun to watch JD5 on watching two LSU gods basically kind of go toe to toe. But I do think there'll be a slice of humble pie that JD5 has to eat because the Bengals really need this win. The Commanders don't really need this win. It's you kind of know what they're gonna be. But I do
next
believe
2 weeks. Yeah, go ahead.
Like we touched on with the Ravens and kind of with the Browns too, is like I don't see those guys winning a division, and I long term I just don't believe in the Steelers offense at all.
Totally.
So the Cincinnati needs to get hot right now because I think they have a path to the division, and I know that's kind of crazy starting off 0-2, but that's just how I feel. I watched them play the Chiefs.
Well, and it's an interesting path, too, because you've got the Steelers losing, and this week they've got the Commanders at home.
Yep.
Next week they play the Panthers. So this is a real opportunity for Cincinnati to kind of even out the boat. T. Higgins should be coming back. For the sake of my goddamn fantasy team, if nothing else, what's going on? Get back in the lineup. Let's go. Come on. I don't know if he's playing this week, but if he's not playing this week, he'll be back week 4. They can get this kind of thing gelling again. I think Jamar Chase does the Jamar Chase things and front runs against bad football teams the next couple of weeks and looks like a top 3 wide receiver again. And I think this team gets back to a foundation. But what's really interesting is week 5, the Ravens and the Bengals play each other. And that could be an early real thing of okay, which one of you guys is saying goodbye here? because the Ravens are also 0-2. And I think that, despite our talk about Ravens and how we think that we called them being kind of a regression candidate and we have big red flags, that's a good football team. And Cincinnati, same thing, regression candidate, bad roster on defense, yada, yada, yada. Look, man, the defense looked good last week. Like, this is a good football team. And they've got one of the better quarterbacks in football and a very dynamic pair of pass catchers, albeit kind of feels like they're letting everybody down. That week 5 matchup is going to be really interesting. And I'm with you. I think Cincinnati just completely dominates this game. And I think we get the bounce back we need from this team. So
100%.
That's it, man. Been over an hour. We were here for a while talking shop, but we
That's all right.
did a lot of coverage, and we all made decisive picks this week. So, no getting out of these ones, buddy.
No getting out of these ones.
Guys, thank you for coming through. If you guys are still here somehow, some way, like, comment, subscribe, and we're gonna keep dropping these bad boys on you. We'll be back.
Sure thing.
Yeah, we won't be back till probably next week, just because we're going to be gone this weekend in Arizona watching our Lions take on the Cardinals. So,
yeah,
enjoy this for now.
Fully.
We'll come back on Monday and eat some humble pie. We'll see you.
Oh, wow. Sure will.
Peace out.
All right. Peace.